each drawer signed and numbered. A square of cleaner plaster showed where the heron stood. The fox left for brass fittings, the owl a ring of shadow. A printed card said winter beneath the empty wood. We found the pins, we found the wire, a feather caught behind the fire. We read the names from left to right, but every case contained the light. The birds were taken first, before the dust had settled. Their labels stayed behind to prove that they had been. The birds were taken first, their painted branches empty. The room retained the distance between the glass and skin. A bracket and measurements in pencil. The beetles left their velvet divided into rows. A faded strip of paper still named a northern coastline. The map had been removed, but one blue corner showed. The door was marked for workmen. The workmen had not entered. We heard a wooden tapping from somewhere in the wall. No cage remained to answer, no wing disturbed the ceiling. Only the little captions continued down the hall. Described the talons, one line described the nest, one line instructed visitors to notice the red breast. But nothing in the wording explained the vacant air, or why the room grew smaller when no one else was there. A flight without a bone. The glass remembers distance, the wall remembers wings. The room contains the outline of all removed things. Tuesday, the presses went at noon. 4 men removed the flywheel to sweep the loading room. The photographs were numbered, the belts were tied in pairs. A board described production above 3 empty squares. Towards the streets, the wages hung in columns, the output crossed the year. The final line said silence, but something shifted gear. We counted bolts, we counted stains, we read the names of vanished chains. We closed the door, we killed the light. The room continued through the night. The looms continued after closing, though every frame was gone. The floor repeated every motion from dusk until the dawn. The looms continued after closing, the walls resumed the shift. No thread remained between them, but still the shuttle slipped. A foreman faced the camera beside a finished roll. His name remained beneath him, the rest had formed a whole. A child stood by the doorway, her hand upon the rail. The label called her visitor, no record gave detail. My father worked the morning shift before the museum opened. He never spoke about the noise that followed people home. I found his number in the ledger, I found his hours and grade. I found a blank beside the column where departures should be named. The looms continued after closing, though every frame was gone. The floor repeated every motion from dusk until the dawn. The looms continued after closing, one station stayed assigned. The card displayed my father's number, the name beneath was mine. two brass hooks, the conal left a stain. A judge remained in pencil beneath a missing frame. Three daughters faced the doorway in 1894. Their names were fixed in order, their faces were no more. The plaques preserve the titles, the nails preserve the height. The wall arranged the absent from left to right. The wall retained their rank when every face had traveled. The largest space stood highest, the smallest touched the floor. The wall retained their rank, their dates and occupations. An empty room of persons still watching through the door. A merchant wore a ribbon, a rector held a book. The labels kept their clothing and every formal look. One plate had lost a surname, one screw had turned with rust. A cleaner wrote unknown man in chalk beside the dust. I stood where guests had gathered, I copied every word. The room returned my breathing as though another heard. Past 4, the western wall received a line of shadow. It crossed the empty rectangles but stopped at one blank place. No hook was fixed above it, no label named the sitter. The plaster there was cleaner and measured like my face. Returned at closing, he never crossed the room. He looked behind my shoulder and asked whom I had moved. The wall retained their rank when every face had traveled. The largest space stood highest, the smallest touched the floor. Retain their rank, their dates and occupations, but one unlabeled rectangle had not been there before. The wall retained their rank, the wall retained their names. The room had lost its portraits, the room had gained a frame. Space unnumbered. lenses left on Thursday. The brass was wrapped in cloth. A transit crossed the courtyard. The batteries were boxed. The shelves retained their circles. The tables kept their scars. A card described a telescope that once divided stars. The room was marked in fractions. The wall was ruled in feet. A painted line at shoulder height continued through the heat. The barometer was absent, but still the needle climbed. No glass remained above it. No pressure could be signed. The galvanometer trembled inside its printed plan. A diagram showed current passing through a hand. Measure the table, measure the door, measure the distance from ceiling to floor. Measure the silence, measure the air. Write down the reading, although nothing is there. A lens had left an outline the size of one closed eye. A ruler stopped at 70, no label told us why. A balance left 2 circles pressed deeply in the wood. One side was marked material, the other understood. I stood beside the markings. I placed my heel at naught. The wall revised the figures before I formed the thought. The instruments measured the empty room, the distance between the dust and noon. They counted the breath I meant to hide and entered the answer at my side. The instruments measured the empty room. The smallest division began to move. No hand touched glass, no wire was crossed, but every reading included the cost. Listed 4 devices for distance, weight, and heat. For current passing through a coil, for pressure underneath. A 5th line had been added in ink not yet quite dry. Its scale began at visitor and ended at reply. I called the clerk from downstairs. He waited in the hall. He said the room held nothing. He would not face the wall. I asked him for the ledger. He said the book was moved behind him. Something clicked once. A final scale was proved. The instruments measured the empty room, the distance between the dust and noon. They counted the breath I meant to hide and enter the answer at my side. The instruments measured celebration complete. The final door stood open, no cases crossed the floor, no portrait faced the staircase, no instrument kept score. The ceiling lamps were working, the radiators sighed, a line of cleaner plaster ran evenly on either side. We brought no list of objects, we brought no packing plan. The room required no catalog, the room contained no stand. The main gallery held nothing, but nothing would not stay. The outlines from the other rooms were moving into place. The main gallery held nothing, the walls had all been cleared, yet every absent object seemed closer than it appeared. A wing crossed through the doorway without disturbing air. A shuttle struck behind us, a brass scale moved somewhere. Four painted faces gathered where no frames had been returned. A needle climbed through silence, an unseen filament burned. I called the names from every card. The gallery replied with measurements and working hours from rooms on either side. The birds supplied the distance, the looms supplied the time, the portraits gave the order, the instruments drew lines, the empty cases opened without a hinge or sound. The gallery took every mark and turned the building round. I stood beneath the skylight where nothing had been hung. The room repeated softly the words I had not sung. A label formed in pencil upon the northern wall. It gave no date or title, it simply read, "For all." I looked back through the doorway, the corridor had gone. 5 rooms had become 1 room, the building carried on. recorded here. The birds became the distance, the looms became the time, the portraits gave the order, the instruments drew lines. The building kept no objects, the building kept the trace. 5 rooms for an empty museum, 1 room without a place. The gallery is complete.